Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another brand new video. Today we are talking about death and what happens after death. Do you know what happens after death? After the body breaks apart and you go on to wherever you go on to? Either you have some fancy beliefs, like the religions do, of you going into heaven or you going to hell or you seeing demons or angels or guardians or God or Jesus or Buddha or Krishna or Muhammad or what other fairy tales there are. There are many stories about what happens after death. Like the Egyptians, for example, they have a story of Thoth, or one of the Egyptian gods, taking you and measuring your heart to a feather, seeing what good deeds you've done and what bad deeds you've also done, and seeing if you're ready to pass on. And if you're not, there's some consequences to that. There are many stories, and some stories are based on reality, and some stories are just fiction, designed to control you or to control the population, like the majority of the so-called organized religions. So this comes about as a result of me watching videos on Instagram. And I'm scrolling through Instagram and I stumbled upon a video of people having their near-death experience videotaped. Somebody is recording on their iPhone what's going on with you. And there's videos of young people and people of all kinds, especially in war-torn areas right now, currently, them experiencing visions moments before they die. Moments, when I mean moments, literally seconds before they pass away, they're talking to their parents or to their loved ones, to their caretakers, and this is being recorded. And one particular video I remember, this young girl, 6, 7, 8 years old, something no more than that, and she's explaining what she's seeing. And she's saying, "Father, I see lights. I see beautiful beings of light with wings. I see. They're all around us. At least 2 of them. They're coming towards me. They're trying to take me away." And 1 or 2 seconds go by and poof, that's it. Her consciousness shuts off. She's gone. That's not a bad way to go. If you have to go, let it be angels taking you away. That also soothed my soul, knowing that there are higher dimensional beings taking care of you, especially children, towards this very, how shall we say, very uncertain time of transition between one state of reality and existence, which is what we are in here, and whatever is next. I'm not going to pretend to tell you what happens. I have some guesses. I have some educated clues or educated guesses. I have some small clues. And also I have some direct experience, meaning some small perception of what I feel death is and what I feel happens after death. But why am I not going to pretend to tell you exactly what happens? Because I've never been there. I haven't died, at least in this lifetime. Maybe in the previous lifetimes I've died, but I don't remember that. So I don't really know for sure concretely what happens. One thing is for sure. This metaphor keeps coming back over and over in multiple cultures throughout different time spans. It's irrelevant which time span this culture lives and exists. This is the general knowledge on the planet, which is this: that after death, there's some kind of judgment, whether that be a river that you have to cross, or some kind of measuring that your heart is being measured, like in Egypt, or other examples such as this, that there's a barrier that has to be crossed, and the barrier measures or tests your quality of life here on earth. It measures your actions primarily, and not just any actions, your actions towards other human beings or other living beings. So if you were a good person, if you were kind towards others, kind and compassionate, didn't hurt animals, didn't hurt human beings, didn't hurt plants unnecessarily, didn't steal from others, didn't take anything that wasn't yours, didn't lie or deceive others, didn't misuse your sexuality in any harmful way, and didn't overly intoxicate your mind, because intoxicating your mind leads to you harming others, generally speaking, and it leads to cloudiness and confusion. You don't do these 5 things, or you don't do these general things, you will be able to pass the test and you will go through. What is through? God only knows. Probably God, or the creator of the existence. But if you don't pass this test, a lot of cultures say, not just one, in many examples, that there is some being that either drags you to a different state of reality or existence, or some punishment is incurred, or at the very least you go back into the human womb and you soak in the mother's womb once again, to be reborn. Here I am, reborn again. Well, that's not what we want. We want to complete this mission. Being on Earth is fun, and it's great, and it's wonderful. Let it not be mistaken. Yet, this is not a end-all be-all. This is a temporary experience. I don't have to tell you that. We all know that life is not forever. It's short. And you're here to do the best you can so that when the time of passing away comes, the judgment is going to be in your favor. What you don't want to happen is you dying, passing away, and then the Grim Reaper says, oh, you've been a very naughty boy. You've been a bad boy or a bad girl. Time to go into the hell realm, or time to go roam around as a ghost, or be in an animal body, or back it as a human being. That's not what we want. We want something else. We want dissolution. Or we could say we want freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom, what does that mean? I don't really know what that means, but it sounds good. Freedom. Freedom from everything. Freedom from the universe. Freedom from being created. Freedom from everything is succinct. So, my only question, being 29 years of age, is how is my judgment day going to be? How is it going to look like once the day of judgment comes and I do pass away from this life and my body is shed? What are the Grim Reaper or the demons or the angels going to think of me and do for me, and how are they going to judge me? Because there will be a judging. There will be. Many examples come into mind of people working as a paramedic and arriving to a scene of a man that has been poked with a very sharp stick. Poked fatally. And the man is on the floor, screaming like a pig, screeching, in so much fear. The instant perception this paramedic had was whatever this man did in his life, or whatever he's seeing is the next stage after this human birth is gone, particularly because of his actions and his particular mind's makeup, is pretty bad. And he's screaming. Because, mark my words, my friends, when a day of death comes, the day of judgment comes, especially when you have a near-death experience, your perception of reality becomes greatly attuned. You can see things much clearer. You can see your own actions, your own past mistakes, your own past actions, everything that has to do with this life. You see it very clearly, and people have had these experiences. Also, sudden glimpses of higher terrestrial beings and angels and demons and gods, and God also in capital is also there. So we can trust that these experiences are accurate or true or point to the true thing because of their sheer abundance and volume. This is not something that can be easily fabricated. People on their deathbed don't have some conspiracy going that trying to make you believe some things. No, there is life after death. And we have countless meaning countless, of testimonial evidence of people claiming things that they're seeing, and when they pass away, and some people actually pass away, their heart stops, and then they come back, and they tell you what was happening in the room while they were unconscious. Not only that, what was happening in the other rooms that people were talking about them, doctors and so on and so forth. So people in the scientific mode of thinking think that, oh, the body and the mind is just one stable thing, and everything is matter here, and there's no supernatural activities. Well, my friend, I'm here to break it to you that being alive is a supernatural activity. This is the most psychic thing there is. I'm here, I have 4 limbs, I have a brain, I can think, I'm walking around, I have eyes, I eat food, and this is on a big ball, and it's like huge space around all of us. Wow. Oh, everything can be explained by math. No, this is a psychedelic experience. Just a regular everyday consciousness. This is amazing, incredible. Look at this. I'm in this vehicle. So what can happen after you die? Well, you can be sure that you'll be judged. So be very careful and mindful what actions you take in this very life, what you do for others, what you do to them. You don't want to do the harmful things because the day of judgment will arise. And you don't want to be judged badly. You don't want to be sent straight to hell. Another example, this is a great example that comes to mind, is during the time of the Buddha. The Buddha was gifted land to house his monastery and teach his monks. And for 30 so years he lived in this monastery and taught his monks there. And adjacent to the monastery, his next door neighbor, or pretty close to it, was a pig farmer. And this pig farmer had a unique way of slaughtering the pigs. He wouldn't just stun them and do whatever he had to do with them. No. He would take boiling water and force feed the pigs boiling water so that their intestines would be cleaned. And then he had two or three other fancy ways of making sure that the meat is really tasty. Well, he was doing that for his entire life. And then at 60, 70, or 80 years of age, when the time of death was near and he was on his deathbed, he was getting sicker and sicker, the monks recounted screams from his house unlike anything that they've ever heard before. Screams of a dying man being sent to hell, or pulled into hell, is what some of the monks recounted. That's what it sounded like. Is this hard to believe? No, this is not hard to believe. These things happen. So a person whose heart is light like a feather, they pass through the pearly gates of heaven. Just as in the ancient Egyptian civilization, that was the general thought of what happens. Or, counter to that, if your heart is as heavy and dense as a cast iron brick, you're going to be pulled into heaven. Pulled into hell, pulled into the lower states, the lower realms. Case in point, just like the Buddha's cousin did. If you don't know the story, the Buddha's cousin was very envious of the Buddha because the Buddha had a huge army of monks. He was very wise. And his cousin thought that he could do things better. He had different rules that he wanted to impose on the monks, and he had a secret wish to kill the Buddha and take over his monks. That's exactly what he tried doing once. He went up a hill and pushed a huge boulder as the Buddha was walking across the street. And as the boulder fell, it cracked up, and it didn't kill the Buddha, it only injured his leg. And because of that heavy weighted karma of injuring someone who's so wise, someone who's so enlightened, someone who is there teaching the world the science of liberation, the techniques to free your mind, the karma was so heavy, it is said in the books, that the earth was no longer capable of holding him and bearing him. Meaning, as he was walking, the earth literally opened up and he started sinking. And he screamed out, but to no avail. He got sunk into the deepest, lowest state in the universe, Avicii. Living beings suffer immensely there, in darkness, little food, and they hold on to caves or they hold on to rocks. This is what the stories say. And occasionally they bump into one another. They don't know who's who. They just think that it's food. Both of them, they think it's food. And they start killing each other and clashing. And then once the other is killed, they eat, sustain themselves for some time, and the period goes on again, or the suffering goes on again, or it continues going on. This is one example of what hell is, or what hell looks like. So that's not what you want to be. You don't want to be a hell being in a hell realm. You don't want to be in hell. You don't want to put yourself in hell. How do you put yourself in hell? You don't have to look very far. You can do this right here, right now. Go drink a bunch of drinks and go lie and steal and do bad things to others. In a day or two, you're going to be in hell in your own mind. And then the hell, after this body breaks apart, is very natural because that's the quality of your mind. That's where you harmonize with. Similarly, if you abstain from doing those things, if you follow the 5 moral precepts, you generally be a good person. What are the 5 moral precepts? Do not kill, do not steal, do not lie, do not misuse your sexual energy, and do not intoxicate your mind. This is a perfect formula for avoiding pain in your life. If you don't do these things, you practice in avoidance of doing the immoral and unethical things, you will be put into a favorable destination. Your mind will be refined enough and light enough that you will be able to cross any barrier that is after death. Whatever judgment there is, you'll easily walk through that. Like you walking through airport security, going to your terminal to to enter your plane. When you have no baggage, you have no hand luggage, you have nothing in your pockets, just your passport and maybe your phone. You go breeze through airport security. Why? Because there's nothing to look at. There's nothing. You're very light. So that's how you want to be. With that being said, my friends, if you want to receive guidance on this path, on the spiritual path, if you want to progress on the spiritual path much faster than the progress you're currently making, I suggest you work with me personally, one-on-one. We will talk like this via video camera, and I will guide you on exactly the things you want to accomplish on the spiritual path. You can do so. You can get a tasting of what this is like and take advantage of me for free for 15 minutes by going to shivakailash.com and booking a spiritual coaching call with me. So do it today. Don't wait. And that's it, my friends and ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you the next day. Goodbye.